realize how many out-of-focus shots there
So what did you think, George? It's the first time you've
I
seen
thought
it
there was a
since
lot of out-of-focus shots.
No, it's the first time you saw it married, the picture and the
It's
sound.
wonderful. It's great to, first of all, see it in the proper format of 133.
Right, yes.
Even though there is a script in the corner that you can see in the corner.
One of the Easter eggs, we call them, right?
Yeah.
So I had the pleasure of, and the honor of sitting through with George and Gary through the picture restoration and the sound restoration. And particularly with the sound, there was this little theme that came up of crickets and gunshots.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about that a little bit. What can you elaborate a little more on the changes you've been wanting to make for so long?
Well, there were missing gunshots that forever. There had been missing gunshots, and we finally were able to put them in. And you never know whether you should change it or, it's all about, you want to leave the pimples, because there's a lot of pimples. But we decided that maybe missing gunshots it was okay.
I remember that moment at Audio Mechanics where you're like, this is the reason why I wanted to restore this.
That's right.
One gunshot.
That was the thing that bugged me all over the years.
And you, Gary, like I know you were one of the sound recordists, so.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I'm very, very pleased to think that the crude and barbaric way in which this sound was recorded, that it actually sounds like this and you can hear every word is pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
It actually sounds great.
Well,
the audio, the voice sounds terrific, I think.
Yeah, we worked from some of the original sound elements that have never been accessed until just recently. So we had some very good sources to do that with. So that's why the fidelity.
We had again Audio Mechanics, just the diligence and the patience and the time, and the one thing that we didn't have, the way soundtracks are put together, you have music and effects, and then you have narration, and that's how you mix the three together. And for some odd reason, the voice tracks, the narration, just disappeared. We didn't have them. So we weren't able to go back in and do a complete mix. We weren't able to, say, okay, we can, but what Audio Mechanics was able to do with just a couple other simple things and filling in and an amazing engineer that had all the bells and whistles.
But you know what? The original voice tracks are pretty good. I mean, considering that we were just a bunch of guys in Pittsburgh.
Russ, I want to ask you, you've been traveling with this film for many years to different horror events and conventions, and so what is it that comes up all the time that is like a favorite thing? Why do these avid fans love Night of the Living Dead so much?
That's a pretty difficult question to answer, but for whatever reason, and this audience is probably as good a representative sampling to answer that question. It seems as though Night of the Living Dead has, like good music, good paintings, and whatever, stood the test of time. I personally am a little baffled by its success. I am certainly grateful that it has endured this long, and thank you guys for jumping on and helping it over the finish line.
Yeah, before we go any further, we just thank you guys so much. I mean, how this whole thing came together.
Are you here?
Yeah, where's Chad? Stand
Not
up,
here?
Chad.
Oh, he's not here, maybe not.
Oh,
Okay, no, because he was someone that introduced
Yeah.
me to you, and
Yes.
but I like to think that what sealed the deal was that I was born in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, all right.
That you're like, okay, you're a Pittsburgh person.
And still relatives in Clare. That's-
Yes, yes. So, Gary, what was the most challenging thing about making this film, like when you were making the film? What was the most challenging moment making it? I'm sure there are many, but like what stands
These
out?
guys had all the challenging moments. you
No,
know,
but
they
you're the only one that
got caught on
caught on fire.
Oops.
We were shooting the Molotov cocktails, and Gary actually caught fire.
And of course, were there any cameras running? No. It would have been a perfect scene. No, it was, the chair when Ben comes out, the first time he comes out and he pushes the chair out and starts it on fire. I don't know, George didn't like something about the blocking and so we put the fire out and reset and got the new drill down and all right, ready to do take two and assured that, I was assured there was everything's fine and I had a gallon can of gasoline and I poured it onto the fire and it hit a hot ember somewhere down in there and just came running up my arm. In fact, Bill Heinzman pretty much saved me from a lot of danger. I think he might have had some, firefighter training somewhere in his life, and he knocked me to the ground and rolled it out pretty quickly. So
Bill Heinzman was the character that Bill played the cemetery zombie, the very first ghoul in the film.
His name is spelled wrong in the credits, isn't
oh, that 4K trend.
I just wanted to.
I know,
Now that it's
that's
restored,
what
you
a 4K
see it.
scan, you can see everything.
Stop the presses, stop the presses. This
One more
restoration
question,
could
yeah.
never go through.
One more question, then I'll open it up to the audience. You call them pimples, George. I like to call them Easter eggs.
Okay.
Because it's nicer sounding. But because we discussed this a lot when we were looking at the picture about these little things that we felt like you should keep because it would disappoint fans if they disappeared.
Yeah, if they disappeared. There's one of the other things that bugged me the most and still does. Right at this sort of dramatic moment, Dwayne goes out and kills the first two zombies and he's staggering up to go back into the house right when Jack Russo's coming in the back door. And there's a moth, a big white moth, bigger than anything else on the screen, a big white moth. And I was hoping that maybe we should take that out.
The moths were there. They were there then, they
It was there, that's
existed.
right.
All right, let's.
The moth lives.
The moths live. Yeah, we talked you off the ledge on the moths. I have to admit. Questions? We'll open it up to questions. One of this gentleman right here in the front. I'll repeat the question if you can't hear it.
You have an awesome movie, my favorite horror movie ever, and you're always being bugged by other stuff that you fixed during the restoration. Oh, sorry.
So everybody else can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, there's always the problems that you always nitpick in the movie, and it doesn't matter. Does it still bother you when you see that jump cut? When you see the couple in the cellar, and then all of a sudden you see that jump cut out of nowhere? Like, was that a post-production problem, or was that on the?
George?
Well, it was, we needed to cut running time out of the film. And we couldn't see it when it first, we're looking at it on 35 millimeter film, and it looked like it was not a jump cut. And it seemed fine until we projected it, and there it was, a big
So the distributor wanted you to cut a certain amount of
certain
time on
amount
the
of time.
film, so that's
Some-
where they ended up doing it.
Eliminate some dialogue and add
And I
more
have,
zombies.
we looked
Cool.
hard for that footage, because in the elements that.
We're not done looking. We'll look till
We
we
looked,
die.
and we did find some audio from that, right? Gary,
Yep.
we found some
Yeah.
audio, little pieces of audio from that missing scene, but the footage is disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, right there in the middle, glasses?
Hi, were there any happy accidents that happened during the making of Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah,
We had
the
some Anyone else? That's it? All right.
Pretty much, that was the big
the end credits, after Ben gets shot, did you film an actual ending scene of Ben getting the hooks and dragged to the fire, or why did you choose to do it with still shots?
Just so everybody can hear about the end credits, did he choose to do the still shots, or was there something else in mind?
You know what? I actually don't remember. I don't think we ever shot motion. I think that we actually shot stills.
There were production stills that were then used on an animation stand. After the shock of our hero getting killed in the last moments, it seemed that a visual tableau of still photographs would be the way to pay it off, and that's how that came about.
It's
Probably
very,
the most shown part of the movie.
it's very powerful, yeah, it's a very Swiss marker.
I think it really works. And Catazone, the animators didn't do the treatment, did they? They didn't.
Well, we supplied the photographs,
Yeah, the
and they laid it out and shot it on the optical.
And they supplied the cheesecloth to lay out the
To
top.
grain it up a
Very
little.
nice, yeah. Okay.
Was there anything just because of budget or time or special effects that you wanted to put in the film but just couldn't get it done?
Yeah, a different Johnny.
It wouldn't be the same without you.
It was, to be honest, no. But we used the small budget that we had, we used it, I think, pretty wisely. George did a fantastic job. He was the leader of the pack, no question about that. But everybody wore different hats at different times. And it really was a very collaborative team effort. Art is referred to as a collaborative art. There's probably no better expression of that than Night of the Living Dead.
Well, we had this commercial production company, and by the time we made Night of the Living Dead, all of us were able to do any of the individual tasks. I mean, we all knew how to record, we all knew how to edit, we all knew how to, because we all wanted to know how to make a movie, and any of us could do any of the jobs, basically. And that's, I think, what you're saying. It was a wonderful collaborative effort. I mean, there was a time when I wasn't even scheduled to direct it. And there was a time when Dwayne wasn't scheduled to play the lead. Richie was going to play the lead.
Or Barbara played Judy, or Judy played Barbara.
That's right, yeah.
I can't imagine without Ben.
What's that?
Dwayne Jones, he carries that film.
I know. And Betty Ellen knew this actor, and he was the best actor that we met. And he was great looking, and we said, hey, and we weren't even thinking about the racial.
Mm-hmm.
Russ and I were driving probably many of you have heard this story. We were driving to New York with the very first print of Night of the Living Dead in 133. That night, in the car, we heard on the radio that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. And we looked at each other, and all of a sudden, it crashed down on us that this is a racial statement film, even though it was not what we had in mind when we were shooting.
We were literally on our way to New York to start the round of distributor screenings, hoping that someone would be interested in distributing our film. And that's when the news flash came on, and it was a really, really heavy, emotional moment, not only because of the tragedy of Dr. King, but here we are with our first movie, our real film, and the timing probably could not have been worse to try to round up a distribution deal on it. But it was one of the many eggs Easter eggs that have checkered the past of Night of the Living Dead. Maybe one of these days we'll get a chance to tell all of the Easter egg stories.
Right, yes. I think we have time for one more question.
What was your inspiration for making the film? What were your influences? What was the catalyst? How did you
That's a lot of questions. Inspiration for making the film, let's start with that.
Initially, we had this, we had a project that we wanted to make. It was a very high-minded, sort of Ingmar Bergman-esque film called The Rime of the Fallen. That's what we wanted to do. And we actually raised, there was one guy that came around and said he was going to put money in to do it. The guy turned out to be a scam artist, and it
Go
never happened.
figure.
Yeah, and it never happened. So we used to hang at this bar called Sam Reedy's, and we were hanging one night and we said, well, let's do something commercial. And that was it. I mean,
Well, I just want to thank George, Gary, Russ, and the Film Foundation, and Eric, and Audio Mechanics, and Celeste Bartos, and everybody in the film department, MOMA, and for making this happen.
Are you made it
Thank you guys so much.